You begin changing your life the moment you stop teaching it that less is acceptable. Tonight is not about becoming harder. It is not about building walls around your heart, proving a point, or pretending you no longer care. It is about becoming clear enough to recognize when you have been making yourself smaller just to keep a connection alive. Able to understand that being kind does not require you to abandon yourself. Able to feel, perhaps for the first time in a long while, that your needs do not make you difficult. There is a quiet lesson in every relationship you have ever tolerated for too long, not because you deserved the pain, not because you caused someone else to be careless, not because every disappointment was somehow a reflection of your inner state. Life is more human than that. People arrive with their own wounds, limitations, fears, habits, and capacities. You cannot control another person's readiness. You cannot make someone become consistent by giving them more chances than your heart can afford. You cannot turn uncertainty into devotion by being easier to disappoint. What you can change is the agreement you make with yourself. You can decide that confusion will no longer be mistaken for chemistry. You can decide that waiting will no longer be mistaken for loyalty. You can decide that being needed is not the same as being cherished. You can decide that proving how patient you are is not the price of being held with care. This kind of decision does not need an announcement. It does not require a dramatic ending. It begins quietly inside you, in the place where you have spent so much time negotiating against your own feelings. You know that place. It is where you tell yourself not to ask for too much because someone is busy. It is where you explain away a cold reply because you do not want to seem demanding. It is where you send the thoughtful message first, then wait with your whole nervous system leaning toward the screen. It is where you say, "It is fine," when it is not fine. It is where you give one more chance before you have recovered from the last one. It is where you rehearse someone else's reasons until your own hurt disappears from the conversation. It is where you become so skilled at understanding everyone else that no one has to understand you. You may have called this compassion. Sometimes it was compassion. Sometimes it was hope. Sometimes it was fear wearing a beautiful face. There is no shame in that. A tender heart often learns to survive by becoming useful. It learns to anticipate, to soothe, to give, to fix, to make the atmosphere lighter. It learns that if it can be pleasant, helpful, forgiving, and undemanding, then perhaps the connection will remain. That lesson can become so familiar that you stop hearing it as a lesson at all. It starts to sound like your personality. You say, "I am just patient." You say, "I do not like conflict." You say, "I understand where they are coming from." You say, "I can wait." You say, "I do not want to pressure anyone." And somewhere underneath those reasonable sentences, another sentence may be hiding. If I ask for what I need, I may lose what I have. That is the sentence we begin loosening tonight. Not by forcing yourself to become fearless, not by demanding that your heart stop caring. Fear does not leave because you scold it. Attachment does not disappear because you call it foolish. A part of you may still want the message, the reassurance, the apology, the clear answer, the unmistakable sign that you matter. You are allowed to want tenderness. You are allowed to want consistency. You are allowed to want a connection that does not leave you studying every silence. Wanting these things is not the problem. The pain begins when you keep bargaining away your own truth in order to get them. That is where exhaustion enters. It is tiring to reach first every time and then pretend you do not mind. It is tiring to carry the emotional weight of two people. It is tiring to keep a conversation alive when the other person gives you crumbs of attention and expects your full presence in return. It is tiring to stay available for someone who appears only when it suits them. It is tiring to be told directly or indirectly that your needs are too much while your generosity is gladly accepted. It is tiring to spend your days appearing calm while your mind keeps returning to the same unanswered questions. Did I say too much? Did I say too little? Should I text? Should I wait? Did I upset them? Was I too honest? Was I too available? Should I pull back? Should I explain? Should I give it more time? A heart can become very tired from living in questions. The deepest exhaustion is not always caused by rejection. Sometimes it comes from prolonged uncertainty. A clear no can hurt sharply, but an unclear maybe can keep you suspended for months. It keeps part of you preparing for arrival and part of you preparing for loss. You cannot fully step forward, and you cannot fully rest. That is why your body may feel tired even when nothing dramatic is happening. You may be carrying anticipation. You may be carrying unsent words. You may be carrying conversations that only exist in your head. You may be carrying the responsibility of keeping something alive that has not been meeting you with the same care. You may have learned to call this devotion. Tonight, you can begin giving devotion a new definition. Devotion is not abandoning yourself to stay close to someone else. Devotion includes you. Your peace belongs in the relationship too. Your dignity belongs there. Your preferences belong there. Your timing belongs there. Your questions belong there. Your no belongs there. Your yes belongs there. Your need for clarity belongs there. There is a difference between having patience and placing your whole life on hold. There is a difference between giving someone room and disappearing from your own story. There is a difference between understanding someone's struggles and accepting behavior that repeatedly wounds you. These differences matter because your inner life listens to what you repeatedly permit. Not in a magical way, not as punishment, in a practical, human way. When you repeatedly ignore your discomfort, you teach yourself not to trust it. When you repeatedly silence your needs, you teach yourself that keeping connection matters more than keeping inner honesty. When you repeatedly accept inconsistency, your body may begin to treat inconsistency as normal. Normal is powerful. What becomes normal can begin to feel familiar, and what feels familiar can be mistaken for safe. That is one reason people sometimes return to the same emotional patterns even after promising themselves they will choose differently. Familiarity can have a strong pull. It can sound like, this is just how relationships are. It can sound like, no one is perfect. It can sound like, at least they come back. It can sound like, I should be grateful for what I get. It can sound like, I am probably expecting too much. There is wisdom in accepting imperfection. Every human connection includes misunderstanding, tired days, imperfect timing, and moments when two people miss each other emotionally. A healthy bond is not a flawless bond. Still, imperfection is different from a pattern that makes you disappear. That distinction can change everything. You do not need perfect attention. You do not need constant reassurance. You do not need someone to read your mind. You do need honesty that lets you know where you stand. You do need care that makes repair possible. You do need mutual effort, so you are not the only person carrying the bond. You do need respect that keeps your feelings from being treated as inconveniences. There is a mature kind of tenderness that does not ask for perfection and still refuses to normalize neglect. That tenderness is growing in you now. It may feel unfamiliar because you have confused softness with self-sacrifice before. Softness can have a spine. Compassion can have a boundary. Warmth can say no. Patience can have an ending. Understanding can walk away from what repeatedly causes harm. Your heart does not become less beautiful when it becomes more discerning. It becomes safer in your own hands. Think of all the ways you may have tried to earn what should have been freely offered. You listened longer. You forgave faster. You adjusted your schedule. You made yourself convenient. You gave reassurance when you were the one who needed reassurance. You downplayed your disappointment. You accepted vague plans. You accepted last-minute attention. You accepted apologies without change. You accepted silence and then welcomed the return without asking what had happened. You learned to be grateful for small moments because you were afraid that asking for more would end the connection. This is not a reason to criticize yourself. It is a reason to understand yourself more deeply. You were trying to protect something precious to you. You may have believed that if you held on with grace, patience, and tenderness, the situation would eventually become what you hoped it could be. Hope can keep a person standing in a doorway long after the room has gone quiet. Hope is not foolish. Hope is one of the most beautiful forces in a human heart. It only becomes painful when hope is asked to do the job of evidence. You can hope and still look at what is happening. You can care and still tell yourself the truth. You can miss someone and still refuse to abandon yourself. You can want a connection and still require it to have room for your whole humanity. These are not contradictions. They are signs that your heart is becoming more honest. A great shift begins when you stop asking, "How do I make them choose me?" and begin asking, "What am I choosing while I wait?" Are you choosing rest? Are you choosing your own life? Are you choosing friendships that nourish you? Are you choosing work that matters to you? Are you choosing the small pleasures that make a day feel alive? Are you choosing your own plans, your own pace, your own voice? Or has one uncertain connection become the sun around which everything else revolves? You do not have to answer harshly. You do not need to make yourself wrong. You only need to see. Seeing can be sufficient for tonight. You may recognize that you have spent more time wondering what someone feels about you than asking how you feel when you are with them. That reversal is common when your sense of security becomes attached to another person's response. Their attention becomes the measure. Their warmth becomes the weather. Their silence becomes a verdict. Their return becomes relief. Their distance becomes proof that something is wrong with you. This is where your inner ground can begin to shift. Another person's inconsistency is information about the relationship. It is not a final statement about your value. Another person's hesitation may tell you something about their capacity, timing, fear, or priorities. It does not have the authority to define you. Someone's inability to meet you deeply does not make you too deep. Someone's discomfort with honesty does not make your truth excessive. Someone's limited effort does not make your needs unreasonable. Someone's choice to leave does not erase what you offered. Someone's choice to stay does not create your value. You had value before the reply, before the invitation, before the commitment, before the apology, before the attention, before anyone saw you clearly. This is important because when you forget it, every relationship becomes an exam you are trying to pass. You begin performing. You become extra agreeable, extra available, extra attractive, extra understanding, extra useful, extra quiet about what hurts. The performance may be subtle. No one else may even see it. You see it in the way you edit your messages. You see it in the way you hold back a question because you fear the answer. You see it in the way you pretend not to care about something you care about deeply. You see it in the way you accept a situation you would never recommend to someone you cherish. You see it in the way your body tightens before you speak honestly. That tightness deserves tenderness, not judgment. It may be carrying an old memory. Maybe honesty once cost you closeness. Maybe having needs once created conflict. Maybe you learned early that affection was easier to keep when you were easy to manage. Maybe you became the one who did not ask for much. Maybe you learned to read the room before you learned to read yourself. These possibilities are not accusations against your past. They are ways of understanding how a loving person can become disconnected from their own limits. A child adapts. A young heart adapts. An adult heart can keep adapting long after the original situation is gone. Then one day, something changes. You become tired of translating silence. You become tired of wondering whether asking for basic clarity will push someone away. You become tired of telling yourself that a little attention should satisfy you. You become tired of being grateful for half presence. You become tired of feeling that your calm depends on someone else's mood. This tiredness can be sacred in its own way. Not because suffering is sacred, because exhaustion sometimes ends an old negotiation. You stop trying to convince yourself. You stop creating explanations that no longer comfort you. You stop making a case for why you should stay in what leaves you depleted. You begin to hear a steadier voice. It does not shout. It does not insult anyone. It does not demand revenge. It does not say, make them regret losing you. It says, I do not want to lose myself here. That sentence can stand on its own. It does not require anger to be true. You can bless what was beautiful. You can grieve what was missing. You can appreciate what someone gave. You can accept what they could not give. You can leave the courtroom entirely. No villain is required for you to choose a different path. This is one of the most freeing forms of maturity. You do not need to prove that someone was terrible in order to admit that something was not right for you. You do not need a dramatic betrayal to honor a quiet ache. You do not need a final argument to recognize a repeated pattern. You do not need permission to stop participating in what keeps asking you to become less honest. That is how a new inner standard begins. It is not a demand placed on the world. It is a promise you make to yourself about your own participation. You cannot control who arrives. You cannot control who stays. You cannot control another person's level of emotional skill. You can control how many times you betray your own knowing to avoid a temporary loss. You can control whether you keep explaining your needs to someone committed to misunderstanding them. You can control whether you keep volunteering for uncertainty after it has shown you its cost. You can control whether you make your life smaller while waiting for someone else to become clear. This is not about becoming rigid. It is about becoming available to what is reciprocal. There is a strange thing that happens when you have been overreaching for a long time. Stillness can feel dangerous. Not sending the message can feel cruel. Not explaining can feel like abandonment. Not fixing the tension can feel irresponsible. Not rescuing the connection can feel like giving up. Your body may urge you to do something just to reduce the discomfort of not knowing. That urge is understandable. Action can create a temporary sense of control. If you text, at least you have done something. If you explain, at least you have tried. If you apologize, Even when you are not sure what you did wrong, at least you have lowered the tension. If you offer another chance, at least the ending is postponed. But postponing an ending is not the same as creating a beginning. A bond cannot become secure because one person works harder. Security grows through repetition, honesty repeated, care repeated, repair repeated, presence repeated, respect repeated. Not perfection. Pattern. Your nervous system learns from patterns more than promises. A beautiful speech can move you. A sincere apology can matter. A meaningful moment can stay with you for years. But your body also keeps track of what happens repeatedly. Do you feel mostly settled or mostly alert? Do you feel able to speak or always careful? Do you feel met or managed? Do you feel like yourself or like a version of yourself designed to keep peace? These questions are not meant to make you suspicious. They are meant to bring you home. You are allowed to have an inner home. A place inside you where your feelings can arrive without being cross-examined. A place where sadness does not have to prove its case. A place where disappointment can be acknowledged before it is explained away. A place where desire can speak plainly. A place where your boundaries do not need a defense attorney. This inner home becomes the beginning of every healthier bond. When you can stay with yourself, you stop asking another person to rescue you from every moment of uncertainty. When you can trust your own perception, you stop needing endless evidence that your feelings are valid. When you can honor your limits, you become less willing to negotiate them away for temporary closeness. This does not make you cold. It makes your care cleaner. You stop giving in order to be chosen. You give because giving feels true. You stop forgiving in order to prevent someone from leaving. You forgive when forgiveness serves your peace, and you still learn from what happened. You stop saying yes while hoping your sacrifice will be recognized. You say yes when you mean yes. You say no when no protects something important. This clarity can feel like a loss before it feels like freedom. Some people may respond differently when you stop doing all the emotional work. Some connections may become quieter. Some dynamics may reveal how dependent they were on your overgiving. That can hurt. It can also teach you. When you stop carrying both sides, you finally get to see what the other side is willing to carry. You do not need to force the answer. You can watch. You can listen. You can let actions speak. There is dignity in letting reality reveal itself without chasing it for reassurance. This is one of the hardest lessons for a tender person, because you may confuse effort with care. You may think, if I stop trying, I am being unloving. No. Sometimes stopping is how you discover whether anything has been coming toward you at all. Sometimes silence is not a strategy. It is space. Space for truth. Space for another person to show their level of interest without being prompted. Space for you to hear your own thoughts without the noise of constant reaction. Space for your life to become larger than one unresolved bond. You are not withdrawing to punish. You are not becoming distant to create fear. You are not playing a game. Games still revolve around getting a reaction. This is different. This is whoa. Here you stop arranging yourself around someone else's response. You return to your own center. You eat when you are hungry. You rest when you are tired. You make plans you enjoy. You answer messages when you have the capacity. You stop keeping your whole evening emotionally open just in case someone appears. You stop reading absence as an emergency. You stop making every delay mean something about you. You begin to live again, not as a performance of independence, as a real return to your own life. There is nothing glamorous about this return. It may look ordinary from the outside. You wash the dishes, you turn off the phone, you finish the book, you make the appointment, you take the walk, you call someone who consistently cares about you, you sleep, you keep a promise to yourself. Ordinary acts rebuild inner trust. Each time you keep a small promise to yourself, something inside you becomes steadier. You said you would rest, and you rested. You said you would not send another explanation, and you let the silence be. You said you would stop pretending something did not hurt, and you admitted the truth privately. You said you would not agree to what drains you, and you declined. You said you would give yourself the same patience you give everyone else, and you tried. This is how self-respect becomes lived rather than spoken. Not through slogans, through decisions, through repetition, through the moment when your old fear says, "Do something or you will lose them," and a deeper voice answers, "I will not lose myself to prevent that." You do not have to become fearless to live this way. Fear may come with you. Longing may come with you. Grief may come with you. You can miss someone and still keep your footing. You can want closeness and still refuse confusion. You can feel lonely and still decline what costs too much emotionally. You can be uncertain and still choose what protects your peace. This is a more mature kind of strength than pretending you do not care. You care. You have always cared. The shift is that you are included in your care now. You are no longer the one person your compassion forgets. That changes the atmosphere inside you. It also changes the way you relate to others. When you are afraid of losing someone, you may unconsciously make their comfort more important than truth. You may soften every request until it disappears. You may present a boundary as an apology. You may ask for clarity while already preparing to accept none. When you begin to trust yourself, your words become simpler. This does not work for me. I need consistency. I am not available for this. I care about you, and I also need clarity. I understand, and my answer is still no. Simple words carry a different weight when you are prepared to honor them. A boundary is not powerful because it sounds impressive. It is powerful because you mean it. That meaning is built quietly. It comes from the part of you that no longer wants to make threats, issue ultimatums, or manipulate anyone into choosing differently. You are not trying to control the other person. You are choosing your own participation. That is the heart of it. Your life begins to change when your choices stop contradicting what you say you value. If you say peace matters, you begin paying attention to what repeatedly steals it. If you say honesty matters, you begin telling yourself the truth before asking anyone else to tell you theirs. If you say mutual care matters, you begin noticing when the flow has become one way. If you say you want a steady connection, you stop romanticizing what is only intense. Intensity can be powerful. It can feel alive. It can create unforgettable moments. But intensity is not the same as safety. A connection can be exciting and still leave you chronically uncertain. A person can feel important and still be unable to meet you well. A bond can contain real feeling and still not be sustainable. You are mature enough to hold more than one truth at once. It mattered. It hurt. There was care. There was confusion. You learned something. You lost something. You can honor the whole picture without turning it into a fantasy or a failure. That is a form of freedom too. Tonight, the lesson is not that you should never reach out. Healthy connection includes reaching. It includes vulnerability. It includes taking emotional risks. It includes saying what you feel. It includes repairing after misunderstandings. The issue is not whether you make effort. The issue is whether effort has become your role. When you are always the one initiating, soothing, clarifying, forgiving, planning, waiting, and restarting, effort stops being generosity and starts becoming the structure of the bond. Then your absence feels like collapse because you were holding too much. A healthier connection can survive your exhale. It can survive your honesty. It can survive a boundary. It can survive a day when you are not the strongest person in the room. It can survive your needs. This matters. You deserve relationships in which your humanity does not threaten the bond. You deserve to be more than the caretaker of connection. You deserve to be a participant in it. No one can promise who will meet you there. No affirmation can name the person, the timing, or the outcome. But you can become more ready for what is mutual by becoming less willing to abandon yourself for what is uncertain. That is not mystical. It is practical. The more clearly you know what you can live with, the less time you spend trying to make a painful fit feel right. The more you trust your feelings, the sooner you recognize when something repeatedly injures your peace. The more comfortable you become saying no, the more meaningful your yes becomes. The more you stop performing for acceptance, the more space there is for someone to know the real you. And the real you does not need to be reduced. You do not have to become easier to ignore. You do not have to become quieter to be kept. You do not have to become endlessly patient with what keeps hurting. You do not have to earn care by overgiving. You do not have to convince anyone that you are valuable and deserving of consideration. You begin by treating your own inner world with consideration. Tonight, that may be all you need. You may not have every answer. You may still feel attached. You may still hope. You may still wonder what happens next. Let those questions remain unanswered for now. Your task is smaller and more intimate. Stay close to yourself. Listen to the places that have been overruled. Listen to the fatigue beneath the waiting. Listen to the sadness beneath the explanations. Listen to the part of you that has been trying so hard to be chosen. Do not shame that part. It was trying to protect you from loss. Thank it for how hard it worked. Then tell it that you are learning another way. You are learning that connection does not need to be purchased with self-erasure. You are learning that warmth can coexist with discernment. You are learning that your heart can remain open without leaving every door unlocked. You are learning that the right kind of closeness has room for truth. You are learning that peace is not something you earn after someone else finally becomes clear. Peace can begin here, with you, before the answer, before the outcome, before anyone changes. Your inner life can become less dependent on the next notification, the next explanation, the next emotional turn. This is not indifference. It is ground. And tonight, you are beginning to stand on it. From this steadier place, you can begin to understand why reaching harder has so rarely created the security you hoped it would create. When you care deeply, effort can feel like the natural answer to uncertainty. If something seems to be slipping away, you reach for it. If someone becomes distant, you move closer. If communication feels thin, you add more words. If affection becomes inconsistent, you try to become more lovable, more understanding, more available. The instinct makes sense. You are trying to restore balance. You are trying to reduce the distance. You are trying to protect something that matters. Still, there is an uncomfortable truth hidden inside this pattern. The more frightened you become of losing a connection, the easier it is to begin behaving as though the connection matters more than you do. You start negotiating from fear. You start asking questions you do not really want to ask because you are hoping for a particular answer. You begin offering more than feels natural. You become quick to reassure, quick to forgive. quick to make yourself available, quick to accept explanations because challenging them feels dangerous. You may not realize how much pressure is building inside you. On the surface, you are being caring. Underneath, there may be a quiet plea. Please do not leave. Please do not change your mind. Please tell me I still matter. Please give me something I can hold on to. There is nothing shameful in these longings. They are human. But when fear begins directing your behavior, the other person can feel the pressure even when you never state it aloud. Pressure has many forms. It can look like sending another message because the first one has not been answered. It can look like explaining the same feeling several different ways because you hope the next version will finally be understood. It can look like checking repeatedly for signs of interest. It can look like becoming unusually agreeable. It can look like accepting vague plans rather than risking no plans. It can look like asking for reassurance in ways that never truly reassure you. It can look like giving more affection after receiving less. It can look like trying to prove that losing you would be a mistake. None of these actions make you bad. They usually reveal fear. And fear has a way of turning connection into a test. The other person becomes the examiner. You become the student waiting for a grade. Every reply feels meaningful. Every delay becomes evidence. Every warm moment lifts you. Every cold moment drops you. A relationship cannot feel peaceful for long when your sense of self is being graded by someone else's attention. This is why calm self-respect changes more than any clever strategy could. Not because calm makes you irresistible. Not because withdrawing guarantees pursuit. Not because some invisible law forces another person to come closer when you step back. Those ideas can become another form of control. You're not learning how to manipulate distance. You are learning how to stop abandoning your center whenever distance appears. That is different. Real self-respect does not say, I will stop contacting them so they miss me. It says, I will stop doing all the contacting because I want to see what is true. It does not say, I will become unavailable so they fear losing me. It says, I will stop being endlessly available when that availability is costing me peace. It does not say, I will make them jealous. It says, I will return my attention to the life that belongs to me. It does not say, I will prove my value. It says, I will stop behaving as though my value needs their agreement. That shift is quiet. It is not dramatic enough for a movie scene. There may be no confrontation, no final speech, no grand exit. You may simply stop carrying what was never meant to be carried by one person. Then something becomes visible. When you are no longer filling every silence, you can hear whether someone else chooses to speak. When you are no longer arranging every meeting, you can see whether someone else makes room for you. When you are no longer rescuing every misunderstanding, you can see whether someone else knows how to repair. When you are no longer giving beyond your comfort, you can see whether the connection has substance without your constant sacrifice. Reality becomes easier to read when fear stops editing it. That does not mean reality always gives you the answer you wanted. Sometimes clarity confirms that a connection is mutual. Sometimes it reveals that it was sustained largely by your effort. Both answers are useful. One lets you relax into reciprocity. The other lets you stop pouring yourself into an empty place. The difficulty is that part of you may prefer hope without evidence to evidence that asks you to let go. That part deserves compassion. It remembers what it felt like when the connection was warm. It remembers what was said. It remembers what might have been. It remembers the moments that felt unmistakably real. Those memories can all be true. A relationship can contain sincere moments and still fail to become something steady. A person can care and still lack the capacity to meet you where you need to be met. Two people can have chemistry and still be unable to build peace together. Someone can mean well and still repeatedly disappoint you. You can have tenderness for someone and still decide that tenderness alone is not enough to build your life around. This is where emotional maturity becomes less romantic and more freeing. You stop forcing every meaningful connection to become permanent. Some connections teach, some reveal, some awaken something, some stay, some do not. Their duration does not decide whether they mattered, and their ending does not decide whether you failed. Sometimes your greatest growth begins when you stop measuring success by whether someone remained and begin measuring it by whether you remained true to yourself. That is a very different measure. Did you speak honestly? Did you listen when something felt wrong? Did you protect your peace without punishing anyone? Did you give because you wanted to give rather than because you were afraid not to? Did you accept the answer that actions were giving you? Did you leave room for reciprocity? Did you remember that affection without consistency can still be painful? These questions bring you back to what is actually yours to shape. You cannot shape another person's heart. You can shape the conditions under which you participate. You can choose whether mixed signals become your daily environment. You can choose whether repeated disrespect is explained away. You can choose whether your life stays open while someone else is undecided. You can choose whether longing becomes a reason to remain somewhere that makes you smaller. This is where the idea of a standard becomes deeply persona. A standard is not a list of demands handed to another person. It is not a test designed to make people prove themselves. It is not an attempt to control how someone communicates, behaves, or feels. It is your private clarity about what kind of experience you are willing to keep participating in. You may decide that you need communication that is reasonably consistent. You may decide that disappearing without explanation does not work for you. You may decide that repeated dishonesty has consequences. You may decide that affection without respect is not something you want to call closeness. You may decide that you will not remain in a connection where fear is your dominant emotion. You may decide that apologies matter most when behavior changes. None of these decisions guarantee what another person will do. They clarify what you will do. That is where your power lives. Not in controlling outcomes, in controlling your participation. There is relief in that. You no longer need to spend so much time decoding people. You do not need to become an expert in every silence. You do not have to analyze every message for hidden meaning. You can ask a simpler question. Does this connection, as it exists today, have the qualities I need in order to remain open inside it? Not someday. Not if they change. Not if the timing improves. Not if you become less needy. Not if you prove yourself. As it exists today. This question can feel frightening because fantasy has been helping you survive the gap between what is happening and what you hoped would happen. Fantasy says they could become more consistent. Reality asks, are they consistent now? Fantasy says they might be ready soon. Reality asks, what are they offering today? Fantasy says they care deep down. Reality asks, can that care be experienced in the relationship? Fantasy says, if I am patient, they may finally see what we have. Reality asks, how long have you been waiting to be met? Again, reality is not cruelty. It is kindness without decoration. You can still hope. You can still believe people grow. You can still leave room for surprise. You just stop building your emotional home on potential. Potential is a possibility. It is not a foundation. A foundation is what repeatedly shows up. This understanding changes the way you approach attraction too. People often imagine attraction as something you create by becoming more impressive, more beautiful, more interesting, more mysterious, or more difficult to obtain. But sustainable closeness needs something deeper than performance. It needs room. Room for two people to move toward each other freely. If you are always closing the distance, the other person never has to reveal whether they would cross it. If you answer every uncertainty with more effort, they never have to decide whether they want to invest. If you keep lowering the cost of remaining connected, lowering to you, they may never encounter the point where their own intention has to become visible. This is not a game. It is the natural structure of reciprocity. Two people move, two people risk, two people reveal, two people repair, two people make room. When only one person is doing most of these things, the problem is not that the active person needs a better strategy. The problem is imbalance, and imbalance cannot be healed by giving even more from the heavier side. At some point, you must put something down. You must let the other person carry their portion or reveal that they will not. That moment can be difficult because it can feel as though you are doing nothing. You are actually doing something very important. You are making space for truth. Truth often needs more room than anxiety wants to give it. Anxiety rushes. Truth unfolds. Anxiety demands reassurance. Truth watches patterns. Anxiety wants to secure the outcome. Truth asks whether the outcome would even be good for you. Anxiety says, keep this. Truth asks, at what cost? You do not need to fight your anxious thoughts. You can listen to them as signals. They may be saying, I am afraid of being left. They may be saying, I do not trust that I will be okay if this ends. They may be saying, I believe another person's choice determines whether I am desirable. They may be saying, I have been here before and I remember the pain. When you hear the deeper fear, you can respond to it directly instead of trying to control another person. You can tell yourself, if this ends, I will grieve and I will remain with myself. You can tell yourself, I do not need to solve uncertainty tonight. You can tell yourself, I can survive an answer I did not want. You can tell yourself, I do not have to beg reality to become different. You can tell yourself, my life will not end at the edge of this connection. These are not promises that you will never hurt. They are promises that you will not abandon yourself while hurting. That difference matters. Many people have spent years trying to become immune to heartbreak. You do not need immunity. You need inner companionship. You need the ability to stay beside yourself when something disappoints you. You need the ability to say, this hurts, without turning the pain into proof that you are unlovable. You need the ability to let grief pass through without running back toward what created it just to stop the discomfort. You need the ability to trust that an ending can be painful without being evidence of personal failure. This inner companionship makes you less desperate for anyone else's decision to rescue you from uncertainty. It brings your attention back to your own life. That is where attraction becomes healthier. When your life is not organized around being chosen, you become more able to choose. You look differently at the person in front of you. Instead of asking, do they want me? You ask, do I feel respected here? Instead of asking, how can I keep their interest? You ask, does their way of relating fit the life I am building? Instead of asking, am I impressive enough? You ask, can I relax enough to be real? Instead of asking, what do I need to change about myself? You ask, what is this connection showing me? You move from auditioning to observing, from proving to participating, from waiting to discerning, from performing to relating. This is not arrogance. It is balance. You are not above anyone. You are not judging another person's human imperfections. You are remembering that your experience matters too. That remembrance is important if you have spent years being praised for how much you can tolerate. Sometimes people call you strong when what they really mean is that you have become very good at surviving disappointment. You may indeed be strong, but strength is not measured only by what you can endure. Strength also appears in what you decide you no longer need to endure. You do not have to keep demonstrating endurance. You are permitted to prefer ease. You are permitted to prefer clarity. You are permitted to prefer people who make their care understandable. You are permitted to enjoy being met. There can be an old belief that says meaningful affection must be hard-won, that anything easily given cannot be valuable. That calm means boredom. That uncertainty means passion. That longing proves depth. That distance makes someone precious. This belief can keep you attached to emotional scarcity. Scarcity intensifies attention. When something is unpredictable, the mind can become more focused on it. A message that comes inconsistently can feel more powerful than one that comes reliably, because uncertainty makes each moment of relief feel enormous. You may mistake the relief for intimacy. You may mistake the intensity for destiny. You may mistake the emotional high after a period of distance for evidence of profound connection. Sometimes it is simply relief. Your body was tense. The person returned. The tension dropped. That drop can feel like love. Understanding this is not meant to take romance out of your heart. It is meant to help you distinguish peace from relief. Peace does not require repeated distress in order to feel good. Peace has continuity. It may still contain excitement. It may still surprise you. It may still make your heart race. But underneath the excitement, there is ground. You do not spend most of your time wondering whether the ground will disappear. You do not have to earn every good moment back after every silence. You do not live in a constant cycle of distance, reunion, hope, fear, and distance again. This cycle can become emotionally powerful precisely because it is unstable. Steady care can initially feel quieter. If you are used to emotional extremes, quiet can seem unfamiliar. You may even wonder whether something is missing. What may be missing is the fear. And your body may need time to learn that the absence of fear is not the absence of feeling. This learning is part of raising the way you meet life. You are not only choosing different people, you are becoming more comfortable with different experiences, more comfortable with someone being clear, more comfortable with not having to prove yourself, more comfortable with being considered, more comfortable with being asked what you need, more comfortable with someone making plans and keeping them, more comfortable with affection that does not disappear after closeness, more comfortable with calm. This matters because people sometimes say they want healthy connection while their nervous system remains most familiar with uncertainty. Then steadiness arrives and feels strangely flat. There is no crisis to solve, no silence to decode, no emotional puzzle, no need to earn the next moment of warmth. At first, this can feel less dramatic. Over time, it can feel like home. You are learning to recognize that home, not a perfect place. A place where you do not have to keep proving that you deserve a seat. A place where care can breathe. A place where you can bring your truth without fearing that every honest sentence threatens the entire bond. A place where conflict can lead to repair rather than disappearance. A place where both people matter. This kind of connection begins with how you relate to yourself, because your relationship with yourself influences what you normalize. If you constantly override your exhaustion, you may accept others doing the same. If you dismiss your own sadness, you may remain near people who dismiss it too. If you do not trust your no, you may keep saying yes after resentment has already begun. If you treat your needs like embarrassing problems, you may be relieved when someone merely tolerates them. When your inner relationship changes, these things begin to feel different. Not because you become superior, because your baseline changes. Something that once felt normal begins to feel too expensive. A vague promise no longer has the same shine. A breadcrumb no longer feels like a feast. A dramatic return no longer erases the pattern that came before it. Words become less powerful without matching behavior. Charm becomes less persuasive without care. Potential becomes less intoxicating without participation. You become harder to confuse because you are no longer working so hard to stay confused. That sentence may touch something tender. There were times when you already knew. You knew the communication was not enough for you. You knew the imbalance hurt. You knew you were waiting too much. You knew the explanations were becoming repetitive. You knew you were making excuses you would not make for anyone else. You knew, and still you stayed. Please do not use that knowledge against yourself. Knowing and being ready are not always the same moment. Sometimes you understand something months before you have the strength to act on it. Sometimes your heart has to release an imagined future before your feet can move. Sometimes you remain because you are lonely. Sometimes because you are bonded. Sometimes because there were real good moments. Sometimes because leaving brings its own fear. Sometimes because you keep hoping the next conversation will change everything. Human beings do not make emotional decisions like machines. We carry memory, attachment, history, hope, fear, dreams. That is why compassion is essential. If you shame the version of yourself who stayed, you create another wound. If you understand that version, you create integration. You can say, I see why you hoped. You can say, I understand why you tried again. You can say, you wanted something beautiful, and you did not yet know how much you were giving away to keep the possibility alive. You can say, we know more now. That is enough. Growth does not require humiliation. You do not need to insult your past self to become your future self. You can bring every former version of you along with dignity. the one who waited, the one who over-explained, the one who sent the extra message, the one who accepted less, the one who cried and then answered as if nothing had happened, the one who believed patience could turn inconsistency into security, the one who kept trying to be unforgettable. Each one was trying to reach safety using the tools available at the time. Now you are learning new tools: discernment, self-trust, boundaries, patience with yourself, the courage to let someone misunderstand you without immediately correcting their impression, the courage to let a silence remain silent long enough to learn something from it, the courage to stop filling gaps that another person created, the courage to accept information that disappoints you, the courage to stay open without staying available for everything. These are quieter forms of courage. They may not look dramatic. They change your life anyway. One of the most important changes happens when you stop believing that every loss must be prevented. Some losses protect the future you have not met yet. Not because every ending hides a guaranteed reward. Life does not make contracts like that. But when you stop using all your strength to preserve what repeatedly diminishes you, that strength becomes available again. Available for your health, your friendships, your creativity, your work, your family, your rest, your laughter, your curiosity, your ordinary mornings, your own becoming. You remember that you have a life outside the question of who chooses you. This is where your presence begins to feel different. You are no longer leaning toward the door all day. You are in the room of your own life. You hear your own thoughts. You make choices without calculating how they might affect someone's attention. You stop posting things in the hope of being seen by one particular person. You stop editing your joy according to whether someone responds to it. You stop making yourself emotionally absent from the people who are actually present. You come back. There is great beauty in coming back. You may have been gone from yourself for a long time without realizing it. Your body was here. Your routines continued. You completed tasks. You spoke to people. You moved through the day. But some central part of your attention remained elsewhere. Waiting, watching, wondering. Tonight, you can reclaim a little of that attention, not all at once. There is no need to force it, just enough to feel that your inner world is becoming yours again. Your mind does not have to solve another person before it can rest. Your heart does not have to know the future before it can soften. Your life does not have to receive a particular answer before it can move forward. You can be unfinished and still be at peace for this moment. This is where the old pattern begins losing its authority. You see the urge to reach. You understand it. You do not automatically obey it. You feel the fear of being forgotten. You comfort it. You do not turn it into another attempt to prove your importance. You feel the desire for reassurance. You acknowledge it. Then you ask whether reassurance from this source has ever lasted. You begin separating what you feel from what you must do. Feelings are real. They are not always instructions. Longing is real. It does not always mean return. Fear is real. It does not always mean danger. Hope is real. It does not always mean wait. This separation creates freedom. There can be longing without pursuit. There can be sadness without self-abandonment. There can be uncertainty without frantic action. There can be affection without accepting every condition. There can be an open heart with a closed door where necessary. You are not becoming less loving. You are becoming less willing to confuse suffering with devotion. That is a profound distinction, because the part of you that has been working so hard may believe that if you stop reaching, everything will disappear. Let it hear another possibility. What is mutual does not require you to manufacture every movement. What is healthy has room for your rest. What is sincere can tolerate your boundaries. What is ready does not need you to become smaller to keep it near. And what cannot mean, that you may still have mattered without being meant to remain in its current form. You can release the demand that every meaningful encounter become your final destination. Some things are chapters. Some are mirrors. Some are lessons in what you want. Some teach you what you will no longer accept. Some remind you how deeply you can feel. Some show you where your own tenderness still needs your attention. Nothing has to be wasted. Even disappointment can become information. Even waiting can eventually become wisdom. Not because waiting itself makes you better. Because one day you may finally understand what the waiting taught you about your own needs. You may realize you do not want to spend another year wondering where you stand. You may realize that clarity has become more attractive than intensity. You may realize that peace has become more beautiful than pursuit. You may realize that being met matters more than being fascinated. You may realize that the person you are becoming cannot keep living by the emotional rules that once governed you. That realization is the beginning of another season inside you. Not because the world has suddenly changed, because the terms of your participation are changing. You are no longer offering unlimited access to your heart while asking for minimum care in return. You are no longer calling endurance a requirement for closeness. You are no longer measuring devotion by how much uncertainty you can survive. You are learning to let mutuality matter. You are learning to let actions matter. You are learning to let your own experience matter. This is not the end of tenderness. It is tenderness becoming wiser. And wisdom does not close the heart. It teaches the heart where it can safely open. There is another truth waiting beneath all of this, and it is kinder than the story you may have told yourself. You did not settle because you were weak. You did not stay because you lacked intelligence. You did not keep hoping because something was wrong with you. You were trying to protect a longing that mattered. You were trying to keep faith with the part of you that still believed closeness could become safer, clearer, fuller. And somewhere along the way, you may have learned to place the question of your own value inside someone else's hands. That lesson can begin very early. It may begin when affection feels easier to reach after achievement, when praise comes after being useful, when peace in the room seems to depend on how well you manage yourself, when you become the easy one, the understanding one, the one who does not make trouble, the one who adjusts, the one who waits, the one who says it is okay before anyone has asked whether it really is. You do not need to search your entire past tonight. You do not need to uncover every origin. You only need to understand that a belief can be learned so quietly that it be toi, agents to feel like truth. The belief may have sounded like this: I must earn closeness. I must be patient enough. I must not ask for too much. I must prove that I am safe to keep. I must give more than I need. I must make myself easy to choose. Then, if someone becomes uncertain, that old belief awakens. You do not think, this person may not have the capacity to meet me. You think, what can I do differently? You do not think, this situation may be asking too much of my heart. You think, how can I become easier? You do not think, their inconsistency is information. You think, what am I missing? This is how an old lesson turns inward. It makes you responsible for every distance, every change of tone, every unanswered message, every shift you cannot explain. You may know intellectually that another person's choices belong to them, yet emotionally you still search yourself for the flaw. Was I too open, too quiet, too eager, too independent, too emotional, too serious, too available, too slow, too much, not enough? Those last two can become a painful pair. Too much when you speak, not enough when you stay quiet. Too much when you ask, not enough when you give. Too much when you need reassurance, not enough when someone turns away. There is no winning inside a belief built this way. The rules keep moving. That is why the repair cannot come from perfect behavior. You cannot behave perfectly enough to heal a belief that says your value must be negotiated. The repair begins when you stop putting yourself on trial. You are not evidence to be examined. You are not a case to be argued. You are not an unfinished application waiting for approval. You are a human being with tenderness, limits, preferences, fears, gifts, habits, mistakes, and needs. You do not have to become flawless before you can be treated with care. This matters because self-improvement can sometimes become another disguise for self-rejection. You may say, "Once I heal everything, I will finally be ready. Once I am calmer, once I stop overthinking, once I look different, once I am more successful, once I become completely independent, once I never feel insecure, once I no longer need reassurance, then I will be ready. Then someone healthy will choose me. Then life will finally respond differently. There is growth worth doing. There are patterns worth changing. There are wounds worth tending. Still, growth is not an entrance fee for being treated with dignity. You do not have to become a perfected version of yourself before mutual care becomes appropriate. You can be healing and still deserve honesty. You can be learning and still deserve respect. You can have insecure moments and still deserve consistency. You can carry old fear and still deserve kindness. You can be imperfect and still refuse what repeatedly diminishes you. That is part of the restoration. You stop waiting to become some future version of yourself before you begin living from self-respect. You begin now, with the self who is here, the self who has made mistakes, the self who has stayed too long, the self who has ignored signs, the self who has wanted reassurance, the self who has feared being alone, the self who may still be tempted to return to what is familiar. You do not exile this self. You sit beside her. You listen. You understand what she was trying to protect. You tell her that she no longer has to earn every place she rests. This is not indulgence. It is repair. Shame rarely creates wise boundaries. Shame usually creates secrecy, defensiveness, or another attempt to prove something. Compassion makes honesty easier. When you are not afraid of condemning yourself, you can see your patterns clearly. You can admit, "I stayed because I hoped." You can admit, "I ignored my own discomfort." You can admit, "I kept returning because the good moments mattered to me." You can admit, "I wanted to be chosen." You can admit, "I was afraid that leaving would mean there would be nothing else." And then you can ask what those choices were trying to tell you. Often they were not telling you that you lacked value. They were telling you that some part of you had not yet learned how safe it could feel to stand beside itself. That learning is happening now. You are discovering that being alone for a time can hurt less than repeatedly being made uncertain. You are discovering that missing someone is survivable. You are discovering that wanting someone does not require abandoning your limits. You are discovering that loneliness can pass without being filled by whatever is available. You are discovering that your heart can ache without handing its authority away. This is where old fear begins losing its throne. It may still speak. You may still hear, "What if no one else comes?" You may still hear, "What if that was your chance?" You may still hear, "What if you asked for too much?" You do not need to silence these thoughts. You can answer them with maturity. If no one comes tomorrow, you are still here. If a connection ends, your life still has direction. If someone cannot meet your needs, that does not make the needs shameful. If your clarity narrows the field, then the field needed narrowing. This is not a promise of immediate replacement. It is a return to reality. You do not know exactly what comes next. No one does. What you can know is that sacrificing yourself does not create certainty either. It only makes uncertainty more expensive. There is relief in admitting that. You do not need to buy an outcome with your peace. You do not need to bargain with the future. You can become someone who is available for what is sincere and unavailable for what requires repeated self-betrayal. That is enough for now. There is a certain kind of fruit that teaches this lesson without speaking. It remains where others are gathered sooner. Long after the easiest harvest has been taken, certain grapes are left on the vine. They remain through colder nights, through the first touch of frost, through a season that seems, from the outside, to have gone on too long. Someone who did not know what was happening might assume they had been forgotten. Why leave them there? Why not gather them with the rest? Why ask them to stay through the cold? Yet the waiting has a purpose. The cold does not make the grape worthless. It changes the concentration within it. Water inside the fruit freezes. What remains unfrozen becomes richer. The fruit is pressed while still frozen, and only a small amount of intensely sweet juice emerges. It takes more grapes, more patience, a later harvest, a narrower window, a kind of precision that ordinary wine does not require. Ice wine is not made because the grapes fail to ripen on time. Its character depends on their staying longer. There are seasons in a human life that can feel like that. You look around and imagine everyone else has already been gathered into the life they were meant to have. Someone found partnership earlier. Someone built a family earlier. Someone seemed to be chosen without having to wait. Someone appears to have reached the warmth you wanted while you are still standing in a colder stretch of your own story. Comparison can make waiting feel like evidence against you. It can whisper that you have been overlooked, that your timing means something is wrong, that if what you wanted had not happened by now, then the absence itself must be a verdict. But late is not the same as lesser. A different season is not a failed season. The longest waiting grapes are not rejected grapes. Their path is different because what is being made from them requires another kind of ripening. This does not mean every delay is secretly arranged for a perfect outcome. You do not need to romanticize disappointment. You do not need to call every painful year necessary. Some things really were difficult. Some waiting went on too long. Some people kept you uncertain when honesty would have been kinder. Some seasons asked more of you than you would ever have chosen. You can honor that truth. And still, the years have changed you. You know things now that you did not know before. You recognize a half offer more quickly. You hear evasiveness sooner. You understand that attraction without emotional availability does not build much. You know that being wanted in moments is different from being considered consistently. You know the exhaustion of trying to carry a bond by yourself. You know how costly it feels to keep shrinking. These understandings are not consolation prizes. They are concentration. Life has become more distinct inside you. Once seemed impressive may no longer move you. What once kept you waiting may no longer hold the same power. What once looked romantic may now look uncertain. What once seemed like patience may now reveal itself as self-abandonment. What once seemed too ordinary may now look peaceful. Your taste is changing because you are changing. You are less willing to drink from anything that leaves you thirstier. You are beginning to recognize depth differently. Not by how dramatically someone enters, by how steadily they remain, not by how intensely they speak, by whether their words and actions stay close to one another, not by how much longing they create, by how much honesty exists between you, not by how hard you have to work for closeness, by whether closeness has room for both people. There is strength in this refinement. The frost has not made you bitter. It has clarified what sweetness means to you. You no longer confuse sweetness with flattery. You no longer need constant intensity. You no longer need grand declarations unsupported by daily care. You are beginning to prefer what has substance, a message that means what it says, a plan that happens, an apology followed by different behavior, a person who can hear no without turning cold, a person who can speak truth without using cruelty, a person who does not make you pay for their uncertainty with your peace, a connection where you do not have to keep guessing whether you are welcome. These preferences are not excessive. They may actually be simpler than what you wanted before. You may once have wanted dramatic certainty. Now you may want consistency. You may once have wanted someone to sweep away every fear. Now you may want someone who does not repeatedly create it. You may once have wanted to be unforgettable. Now you may want to be understood. You may once have wanted to be desired above everyone. Now you may want to be treated well in ordinary moments. This is what time can do. It can strip away performance. It can make the essential more visible. The grape left into the frost does not become louder. It becomes concentrated. There is less water, less excess, more of what gives it its distinctive character. You may be entering such a season yourself. Less willingness to perform, less appetite for games, less fascination with unavailable people, less interest in proving yourself, less tolerance for confusion. And beneath those reductions, something stronger, more clarity, more discernment, more patience with your own timing, more respect for the life you have built, more ability to leave what does not fit, more appreciation for quiet reciprocity. This is how waiting can become power without pretending the waiting was easy. You do not need to say, "I am grateful for every disappointment." You can say, "I learned from what happened." You do not need to bless every person who hurt you. You can say, "I am choosing not to carry bitterness." You do not need to claim that every delay was destiny. You can say, "I will not use timing as evidence against myself." That is enough. The vineyard does not insult the grape for remaining through the cold. It protects the conditions required for what is being made. It watches the temperature. It waits for the right moment to harvest. Timing matters. Not because there is one perfect cosmic schedule you must decode, because some things cannot be rushed without changing their character. Discernment cannot be rushed. Self-trust cannot be demanded into existence overnight. The ability to walk away from an old pattern often takes repeated seeing. The ability to choose calm after years of intensity can take practice. The ability to believe that you do not have to earn care can take time to settle into the body. You may understand all of this tonight and still wake tomorrow with an old urge. That does not mean nothing changed. Growth is not invalidated because an old response returns. A vine does not become spring again because one cold night arrives late. Your direction matters more than one moment. You are learning another way. Each time you honor what you know, the learning deepens. Each time you resist the impulse to explain yourself into exhaustion, the learning deepens. Each time you let someone show you who they are instead of rushing to fill in the gaps, the learning deepens. Each time you choose your own plans rather than waiting indefinitely, the learning deepens. Each time you remember that another person's hesitation is not a measurement of you, the learning deepens. This is how a new season takes hold. Not with one giant decision, with many quiet ones. You may still look back sometimes. The vineyard behind you holds memories. There were warm days. There were moments when you were sure. There were promises you believed. There were conversations you replayed. There were futures you imagined. You do not have to destroy those memories to move forward. Let them belong to the season in which they happened. A grape does not remain young by refusing the frost. It changes. You have changed too. There are things you can no longer unknow. You know how it feels to be the one always reaching. You know the cost of over-explaining. You know the ache of accepting a small portion while pretending you were satisfied. You know the strange loneliness of being connected to someone and still feeling emotionally alone. Knowledge like this does not need to harden you. It can refine your choices. You can become slower to commit your heart where evidence is thin. You can become less dazzled by potential. You can give people time to reveal themselves before building a future around what they might become. You can remain warm while staying observant. You can remain hopeful without becoming blind. This is what mature openness looks like. It does not rush to trust everyone. It does not assume everyone will hurt you either. It watches. It listens. It lets consistency speak. The grapes used for ice wine cannot be hurried into their final form by pulling them from the vine too early and asking them to imitate what time would have done. There is something here for you. You do not need to rush yourself into readiness because you are afraid time is running out. You do not need to choose a connection merely because it is available. You do not need to accept a partial fit because you fear an empty season. You do not need to call anxiety intuition just because waiting feels uncomfortable. Your life is not late. It is happening. Right now. Even in the stretches that do not resemble the picture you once imagined. Even when no relationship is answering the question you thought would already be answered. Even when you are still learning how to trust your own choices, your life is happening. You are not standing outside it, waiting to be admitted. That realization can soften a great deal of pressure. You do not have to make something happen tonight. You do not have to identify who belongs beside you. You do not have to predict whether someone will return. You do not have to decide the next 10 years. You can live this part well, this part, the quieter part, the part where your taste becomes clearer, the part where you stop confusing availability with suitability, the part where you stop trying to ripen a connection by force, the part where patience no longer means waiting for someone else indefinitely. Patience can mean staying faithful to your own discernment. It can mean refusing to rush into what looks sweet before knowing whether it can nourish you. It can mean trusting yourself through an empty space. It can mean letting your preferences become honest instead of convenient. The frost teaches restraint, not punishment, concentration. What can remain after the excess has gone? When the over-explaining goes, what remains? Your truth. When the proving goes, what remains? Your presence. When the frantic pursuit goes, what remains? Your capacity to choose. When the fear of disappointing everyone goes, what remains? A clearer no. When the need to be desired by everyone goes, what remains? A deeper desire to be known by the right kind of person. This is not becoming less. It is becoming more distilled, more unmistakably yourself. My dear, you do not need to apologize for becoming particular about what enters your life. A vineyard intended for ice wine cannot treat every temperature as suitable. Conditions matter. Timing matters. Care matters. The fruit matters. What is precious does not have to be available under every condition. Neither do you. You can be warm and still selective. You can be generous and still protected. You can be open and still discerning. You can care deeply and still walk away. You can forgive and still decline another round. You can understand someone's reasons and still decide that the effect on you is too costly. Your compassion does not obligate your participation. That may be one of the most important truths you carry forward. You have spent enough time believing that understanding another person means remaining available to them. Sometimes understanding makes your decision clearer. You can see why someone behaves as they do. You can see their fear. You can see their history. You can see their limitations and still say, I cannot build my peace around this. No cruelty, no superiority, no revenge, just clarity. The frost does not argue with the grape. It reveals what can remain. Your life may be doing something similar now. Certain desires are falling away. Certain fantasies do not hold you as tightly. Certain kinds of attention no longer impress you. Certain patterns feel too familiar to be exciting anymore. At first, this can feel like emptiness. Later, you may recognize it as refinement. Your heart is making room for fewer contradictions. You want affection and respect together, chemistry and steadiness together, desire and honesty together, freedom and consideration together, tenderness and truth together. You no longer want to choose one and spend months explaining why the other is missing. That is a meaningful change. It means you are not asking for more drama. You are asking for greater wholeness. And you are beginning by becoming more whole in the way you treat yourself. You do not divide yourself into the acceptable parts and the inconvenient parts. You do not present only the cheerful pieces. You do not hide every need until resentment speaks for you. You do not dismiss your own discomfort to appear easy. You begin bringing yourself into your own life without editing so much. This is the deeper sweetness of staying power. Not endurance for endurance's sake, not waiting forever, not remaining attached to what has already shown you its limits. Staying power means staying with yourself through disappointment, through uncertainty, through the cold moments when an old pattern is ending and nothing new has arrived yet. Stay with yourself there. Do not abandon yourself because the season feels sparse. Do not return to what depleted you just because familiarity feels warmer. Do not lower what you know because loneliness speaks loudly at night. The fruit that remains through frost is not proving that it can suffer. It is becoming what only that season can create. You too can emerge from a difficult stretch without making difficulty your identity. You can carry concentration rather than bitterness, discernment rather than suspicion, depth rather than heaviness, a clearer palette for what belongs in our life. You are not being prepared for a guaranteed person. You are becoming better able to recognize reciprocity if it appears, better able to remain yourself within closeness, better able to tell the difference between longing and compatibility, better able to choose from clarity rather than fear. That readiness belongs to you regardless of who arrives. And because it belongs to you, no one can take it back. Tonight, let the longest waiting grapes remind you of one quiet truth. The later season is not empty. Something is becoming concentrated there. What has become concentrated in you is not desperation for an answer, but a clearer sense of what can remain beside you without asking you to disappear. That clarity changes the way you speak to yourself. For a long time, your inner voice may have been shaped by urgency. It may have said, "Do something, fix this, try again, be more patient, do not lose this, give it another chance." Urgency can sound persuasive because it promises relief. It says that if you act quickly enough, explain clearly enough, give generously enough, or wait faithfully enough, you may finally reach the certainty you have been missing. But certainty gained through self-abandonment never lasts. Even when someone reassures you, the old question returns. Even when the connection warms again, part of you begins preparing for the next cold spell. Even when you hear what you wanted to hear, you may wonder how long it will remain true. This is why another person's reassurance cannot permanently repair a fear that has learned to live inside you. Their kindness can support you. Their consistency can help you relax. Their honesty can matter deeply. Still, the deeper repair belongs in the relationship you keep with yourself. You begin saying different things there, not grand things, not promises you cannot believe. Simple things that your body can slowly accept. I will listen when something feels wrong. I will not bargain against my own needs. I will not confuse longing with instruction. I will let behavior matter. I will give myself time before making fear-based decisions. I will not make another person's uncertainty my identity. These are the beginnings of inner trust. Trust grows when you stop making promises to yourself that you repeatedly break. It grows when your inner words and your actions begin moving in the same direction. If you tell yourself that you are finished with a painful pattern, then return the moment loneliness appears. Some part of you learns that your own decisions are temporary. If you say you need clarity, but accept endless vagueness, your inner ground remains unstable. If you say you want mutual effort, but continue doing nearly everything yourself, your life receives two different instructions from you. The repair is not perfection. You may step backward. You may answer a message you planned not to answer. You may explain once more. You may find yourself hoping again. That does not erase what you are learning. You can recognize what happened and return. There is no need to turn one old response into a reason to abandon the whole journey. The vineyard does not become ruined because the temperature shifts for a night. The process is larger than one moment. What matters is the direction of your tending. You are tending yourself differently now. You are learning that restraint can be caring. You are learning that not every longing requires immediate action. You are learning that silence can be survived without filling it. You are learning that an unanswered question does not need to become the center of your day. You are learning to let time reveal what pressure once tried to force. This is important because pressure does not create readiness. If someone is uncertain, your extra effort cannot manufacture their certainty. If someone does not know what they want, your devotion cannot decide for them. If someone is emotionally unavailable, your patience cannot do their inner work. If someone repeatedly avoids honesty, your perfect wording cannot turn avoidance into courage. This is not pessimism. It is freedom from a job that was never yours. You are not responsible for turning another person into someone who can meet you. You are responsible for recognizing what is actually being offered and deciding whether it belongs in your life. That responsibility may feel heavier at first. It means you can no longer hide entirely inside someone else's confusion. It means the question changes from, when will they decide, to, what am I deciding? That can be uncomfortable, because waiting sometimes protects you from having to choose. As long as the other person remains uncertain, you can remain suspended. You can tell yourself that the story is unfinished. You can postpone grief. You can postpone change. You can postpone the possibility that something you wanted may not become what you imagined. There is tenderness in seeing this. Suspension may have protected you for a while. It gave hope somewhere to live. But a life cannot remain suspended forever without becoming smaller. At some point, you begin wanting your days back. You want mornings that are not shaped by whether someone contacted you. You want evenings that are not spent replaying conversations. You want plans you can trust. You want to stop imagining 10 possible meanings behind one small sentence. You want to inhabit your own life again. This desire is not a rejection of connection. It is a return to proportion. One relationship, one person, one unanswered question does not get to occupy every room inside you. You have other rooms. Friendship, purpose, curiosity, rest, creativity, family, work, play, learning, beauty, your own quiet company. You are a whole life, not a waiting room. When you remember this, the grip begins to loosen. Not because you stop caring, because caring is no longer the only thing happening inside you. You can care and cook dinner. You can miss someone and still laugh. You can wonder and still make plans. You can feel sadness and still recognize beauty. You can leave a question unanswered and still sleep. This is emotional freedom in ordinary form. It does not always feel triumphant. Sometimes it feels like choosing not to check your phone again. Sometimes it feels like going outside. Sometimes it feels like telling a trusted friend the truth instead of defending the situation. Sometimes it feels like deleting a draft you wrote from panic. Sometimes it feels like accepting that you have already said what needed to be said. These small acts change the balance inside you. You stop pouring every drop of attention toward one uncertain place. You keep some for yourself. That does not make you selfish. It makes your care sustainable. The longest waiting grapes do not pour themselves out before the harvest. They remain intact through the cold. They hold what is forming inside them. There is a lesson in that restraint. You do not need to pour out every feeling the moment you feel it. You do not need to disclose every fear in order to be authentic. You do not need to explain every boundary until the other person approves. You do not need to turn every inner movement into a message. Some things can remain with you long enough to become clear. Some emotions change shape when they are not immediately acted upon. What felt like a need to reach out may reveal itself as loneliness. What felt like a need for answers may reveal itself as fear. What felt like a need to be reassured may reveal itself as exhaustion. What felt like a need to hold on may reveal itself as grief. Once you know what you are actually feeling, you can care for the real need. Loneliness may need companionship, not contact with someone inconsistent. Fear may need grounding, not another promise from someone uncertain. Exhaustion may need rest, not more analysis. Grief may need time, not another reopening of the same wound. This is how you stop treating another person as the solution to every feeling their presence or absence awakens. You become more capable of meeting yourself, and from there, a new affirmation can become believable. Not as magic, not as an order to life, as a sentence that reflects the person you are becoming. You can hear it without forcing yourself to believe every word immediately. You can let it approach you the way sweetness develops in fruit that remains long enough to deepen. My waiting ripens me for mutual devotion. If that feels too large tonight, you do not need to push against your doubt. You can let the sentence rest near you. You do not have to turn it into certainty. You can hear only what feels honest. Your waiting has taught you. Your waiting has clarified you. Your waiting has shown you what does and does not nourish your heart. Let the line return with less pressure now. My waiting ripens me for mutual devotion. There may be a part of you that says, I have waited long enough. Listen to that part. It does not have to be argued with. It may be tired. It may have spent years trying to make disappointment meaningful. It may not want another lesson. It may want something real. You can respect that. The point is not to praise delay. The point is to refuse the conclusion that delay diminished you. Those are different things. You are not asked to adore what hurt. You are asked to stop turning what hurt into evidence that you are less deserving of a steady bond. If the larger affirmation still feels distant, use a smaller sentence. I am willing to trust what ripens slowly. That may be enough. Willingness creates room without demanding certainty. You can be willing while still afraid, willing while still grieving, willing while still unsure, willing while still learning how to stop reaching for what is familiar. And when the larger line comes once more, you may hear it differently, not as a prediction, as a declaration of readiness. My waiting ripens me for mutual devotion. Let it mean that you are becoming more able to recognize mutuality, more able to participate without disappearing, more able to bring your whole self into closeness, more able to say what you need without apologizing for existing, more able to hear another person's no without making it a verdict on your life, more able to say your own no without turning it into cruelty, more able to welcome what is clear, more able to walk away from what remains chronically unclear. That is readiness. Readiness does not guarantee who appears. It does not set a date. It does not summon a particular person. It changes how you meet what arrives. You can meet attraction without immediately building a future around it. You can enjoy someone's attention without making it your source of identity. You can be excited and still observant. You can be hopeful and still grounded. You can offer care without giving away your entire center. This is a beautiful kind of freedom because it makes closeness less frightening. When you trust yourself, another person's decision no longer feels like the only thing protecting your future. You know that you can leave if you need to. You know that you can speak. You know that you can ask. You know that you can listen to the answer. You know that if something becomes harmful, your longing does not require you to remain. You know that if something becomes deeply nourishing, you can stay without losing yourself inside it. This is where standards stop being defensive rules and become expressions of self-respect. You do not need a long list. You need a few truths you are willing to live. You need to know what happens when communication repeatedly disappears. You need to know what you do when honesty is absent. You need to know whether contempt, intimidation, manipulation, or cruelty has any place near you. You need to know what consistency means in your own life. You need to know what you are unwilling to sacrifice merely to avoid loneliness. These truths are not weapons. They are guideposts. They help you recognize when hope is taking you too far away from reality. A clear inner line can save you months of trying to negotiate with something that has already shown you its shape. You may say, "I cannot remain where I am regularly afraid to speak." You may say, "I will not build intimacy on repeated dishonesty." You may say, "I do not stay where my body is telling me that I am unsafe." You may say, "I need mutual effort." You may say, "I am open to imperfection, but not ongoing disrespect." These are not threats aimed at anyone. They are truths aimed inward. They remind you how you intend to participate. And when the moment comes, you do not need to deliver a speech. A mature boundary can be brief. It can be quiet. It can be followed by action. There is no need to convince another person that your line is reasonable before honoring it. They may disagree. They may think you expect too much. They may have different needs. That does not automatically make either person wrong. Sometimes compatibility ends at the place where two people need very different kinds of connection. You can recognize that without forcing one person to become the other. There is dignity in saying, "This does not fit me," not "You are terrible," not "You failed," not "I am better," only "This does not fit." That sentence leaves room for reality. You can care about someone and still recognize a poor fit. You can appreciate someone's good qualities and still know that the relationship is not healthy for you. You can see someone's pain and still refuse to become the place where that pain is repeatedly acted out. Compassion does not require exposure to harm. These words are here to support self-respect and reflection. They are not a substitute for safety. If a connection harms your body, frightens you, controls you, isolates you, threatens you, or repeatedly damages your spirit, affirmations alone are not the answer. Real support and real help matter. Reaching toward people and services equipped to protect and support you can be an act of deep self-honoring. You do not have to spiritualize danger. You do not have to call suffering a lesson while remaining inside it. You do not have to wait for someone harmful to become different before protecting yourself. Safety comes first. And in situations that are not dangerous but remain painful or imbalanced, clarity still matters. You can stop asking whether you are technically justified and begin asking whether the pattern is sustainable. Does this leave room for your voice? Does repair happen? Can disagreement exist without punishment? Can both people have needs? Can you remain yourself? These are practical questions. They bring the heart down from fantasy and back into lived experience. Because a beautiful connection is not only beautiful in imagined futures, it is livable in ordinary days. The person remembers what matters to you. You remember what matters to them. Both people initiate. Both people adjust sometimes. Both people can apologize. Both people can hear disappointment without turning it into war. Both people retain their individual lives. There is room. There is breath. There is movement in both directions. You do not have to force any of this into existence. You can make yourself available for it by refusing to normalize its opposite. That is the role your standards play. They do not guarantee arrival. They protect your readiness. Like grapes held for a particular harvest, you do not have to offer yourself under every condition. You are not a reward someone wins. You are not an object kept behind glass. You are a person deciding what kind of closeness supports the life you want to live. That decision can be warm. It can be flexible. It can evolve. You may learn more about yourself. Your needs may change. Your preferences may deepen. What mattered at one age may matter differently now. There is wisdom in letting experience refine you. You are not required to want what you wanted 10 years ago. You are not required to stay attracted to the same emotional patterns. You are not required to keep honoring agreements you made with fear. You can change. You can decide that peace now matters more than suspense. You can decide that being considered matters more than being pursued dramatically. You can decide that emotional steadiness feels more precious than unpredictability. You can decide that a quiet, dependable presence is more beautiful than a dazzling entrance followed by absence. Nothing about this makes you boring. It means your heart has learned the difference between stimulation and nourishment. The later harvest knows this difference. Its sweetness does not come from being rushed. It comes from concentration, from remaining long enough for what is unnecessary to fall away. You too may be losing unnecessary hunger. The hunger to prove, the hunger to persuade, the hunger to be chosen at any cost, the hunger to win back someone who could not meet you, the hunger to be validated by the very place that made you doubt yourself. These hungers can fade. What replaces them is quieter, a desire to be met, a desire to be known, a desire to feel at ease in your own honesty, a desire for connection that can survive truth, a desire for companionship that adds to your life rather than becoming its entire meaning. This is not less romantic. It is more sustainable, and it leaves room for surprise. Because when you stop prescribing exactly who must choose you and exactly how your future must unfold, you become more able to see what is actually compatible. You stop trying to fit every promising person into a predetermined role. You let them be who they are. You let yourself be who you are. Then you watch what the two realities create together. No fantasy required, no pressure, no silent contract. Just two human beings revealing themselves over time. This is one reason patience becomes different now. You are no longer waiting passively to be selected. You are watching actively, learning, feeling, choosing. You are participating in your own discernment. That is not the same old waiting. The old waiting said, I hope they decide I am enough. The new patient says, I am learning whether this is good for me. The old waiting made one person's answer enormous. The new patience keeps your whole life in view. The old waiting asked you to endure uncertainty without limit. The new patience keeps listening for what the pattern reveals. This is how the season changes inside you before anything outside you has to change. Your posture shifts. Your questions shift. Your attention shifts. Your relationship with time shifts. You stop treating time as an enemy chasing you toward a poor decision. You stop saying that because something has not happened yet, you must accept what is available now. You stop imagining that another birthday, another year, another quiet stretch has reduced your possibilities. Your years have not made you less capable of deep connection. They may have made you more precise about it. You know more about your own nervous system. You know more about your limits. You know more about what loneliness can tempt you to accept. You know more about how quickly charm can fade when character is absent. You know more about what it means to wake beside your own decisions. This knowledge matters. It helps you choose with your whole life in mind. Not just tonight's loneliness, not just today's chemistry, not just the thrill of being wanted, your whole life. You begin asking whether a connection can live there, among your routines, your responsibilities, your values, your friendships, your need for rest, your need for space, your dreams, your imperfect days. You are no longer seeking a feeling that rescues you from life. You are becoming ready for a relationship that can enter life with you. That is a deeper invitation, and you do not need to chase anyone into accepting it. You can hold it quietly, like sweetness held inside fruit through a cold night, protected, concentrated, unhurried. Your task is not to convince the world that what you carry is precious. Your task is to stop handing it away where it is repeatedly treated as disposable. That changes everything. Because each time you keep faith with yourself, your inner trust becomes less theoretical. It becomes lived. And lived trust has a calmness that performance can never imitate. You do not need to announce that calmness. You do not need to display it. You do not need to turn it into an image for anyone else to admire. It is enough that you can feel yourself becoming less available for what fractures you. It is enough that you can hear your own no sooner. It is enough that your yes begins to come from desire rather than fear. It is enough that you are learning to choose without begging life to approve the choice. Keep this part somewhere in your heart for the days when old doubt returns. If these words help you remember your ground, save them for one of those days when uncertainty tries to make you forget what you already know. Not as a rule, as a reminder. You do not need to relearn everything from the beginning each time loneliness speaks. You can return to what has already become clear. You can remember that pressure cannot create readiness. You can remember that mutual care does not require constant persuasion. You can remember that your peace belongs in the picture. You can remember that your timing is not an accusation. You can remember that staying with yourself is part of how you stop settling. Then you can let the day move on. No dramatic oath, no performance, no punishment, only another small act of inner loyalty. The kind that becomes stronger because you practice it when no one is watching. The kind that prepares you not for a guaranteed outcome, but for a healthier way of meeting whatever comes. That is where your new season truly begins. You do not need another sign before you begin living from what has become clear. The old habit may still ask for proof. It may want one more message, one more promise, one more perfect moment that confirms you have finally reached the place where nothing can change again. Human life does not offer that kind of permanent certainty. Even beautiful relationships ask you to remain awake to truth. Even good people have difficult days. Even mutual devotion must be practiced in ordinary moments. What changes now is not that uncertainty disappears. What changes is the way you stand inside it. You no longer collapse every unknown into a judgment about yourself. You no longer assume that distance means you failed. You no longer turn another person's delay into a sentence about your future. You begin letting events be events. A reply is a reply. A silence is information. A plan is a plan. A broken plan is also information. A caring act can be appreciated without being inflated into a promise. A disappointing act can be acknowledged without being turned into a prophecy. You become steadier because you are no longer forcing every moment to answer the question of whether you will be chosen. You are choosing too. That truth deserves to settle deeply. You are choosing too. You are not standing at the edge of someone's life hoping to be admitted. You are meeting another human being from inside your own life. You have a history. You have preferences. You have responsibilities. You have tenderness. You have limits. You have days when you are bright and days when you are tired. You have a future that deserves more than being built around someone else's uncertainty. This is why your new way of relating will feel quieter. You do not need to perform your value. You do not need to create scarcity so someone becomes interested. You do not need to disappear to test whether anyone follows. You do not need to become mysterious. You do not need to pretend you care less than you do. There is no dignity in games when your heart is asking for truth. You can be warm. You can be clear. You can be interested. You can say what you mean. You can let the other person respond from their own freedom. Then you can believe what the response shows you. This is a different kind of courage. It does not try to produce a particular ending. It lets reality become visible. Some people may meet you there. Some may not. Some may be kind and still incompatible. Some may care and still be unable to offer the kind of relationship you need. Some may surprise you with a steadiness you were not used to expecting. You do not have to know which person will do which thing before you rest tonight. Your work is not to predict. Your work is to remain close enough to yourself that you can recognize what happens when it happens. That is readiness. The late grapes do not need to know who will eventually lift the glass. They do not need to imagine the table. They do not need to know the year printed on the bottle. Their work is simpler. Remain where the process is true. Let the cold concentrate what matters. Let the excess fall away. Let time reveal character. There is no desperation in that image, only depth. You can carry the same spirit into your own season. What is falling away now may be the need to force timing, the need to make a particular person fit the future, the need to interpret every coincidence, the need to turn longing into destiny before life has shown you enough, the need to make an almost relationship more complete in your imagination than it is in your days. You can let those things thin out. They have taken enough strength. What remains is more useful. Your ability to discern, your capacity to care, your sense of humor, your curiosity, your capacity to begin again, your understanding of what a clear yes feels like inside you, your willingness to walk away from an arrangement that asks you to live in constant doubt, your ability to be alone without turning solitude into failure, your readiness to meet another person without asking them to repair every old wound. These are quiet riches. They do not announce themselves. They become visible in the way you move. You answer from calm more often. You stop explaining every boundary. You stop rescuing conversations that have no movement. You stop mistaking another person's attention for permission to feel good about yourself. You become less impressed by intensity that has no roots. You become more interested in what can endure an ordinary week. Can kindness remain after disappointment? Can honesty survive disagreement? Can affection remain when neither person is performing? Can two people give each other room without turning room into punishment? Can care become something lived rather than repeatedly promised? These are the questions of a heart that has ripened, not hardened. Ripened. The difference matters. Hardness says no one gets close. Ripeness says closeness must be real. Hardness says I will never risk again. Ripeness says, I will risk with my eyes open. Hardness says, everyone leaves. Ripeness says, I will not abandon myself if someone does. Hardness closes every gate. Ripeness knows which gate to open. You can remain tender without being endlessly accessible. You can remain hopeful without attaching hope to one face. You can believe in deep companionship without demanding that tonight reveal where it comes from. That is a spacious kind of faith. It does not ask you to deny reality. It asks you to remain available to possibility while staying loyal to truth. Tonight, truth is enough. You have learned what it costs to make yourself smaller. You have learned the fatigue of carrying too much. You have learned that being wanted occasionally does not always mean being held consistently. You have learned that waiting without limits can become another way of leaving yourself. You have learned that peace deserves a place in your decisions. These lessons belong to you now. No one has to agree with them. No one has to apologize before you can use them. No one has to understand why your limits changed. You can quietly live what you know. That is where your power becomes peaceful. No speech, no demonstration, no secret hope that someone will witness your growth and finally understand what they lost. Your growth is not a message to anyone else. It is a homecoming. You are not becoming stronger so that someone regrets underestimating you. You are becoming steadier because you deserve a life that does not revolve around proving yourself. Let that be sufficient. The sweetest part of the late harvest is not created by applause. It develops out of sight. Cold night after cold night, the fruit bead becomes more concentrated without an audience. There is something reassuring in that. Your deepest changes may also be invisible. No one may know how many times you chose not to betray yourself. No one may see the message you did not send from panic. No one may hear the conversation in which you finally admitted the truth to yourself. No one may witness the evening you let sadness be sadness without reopening an old door. No one may understand how significant it was when you said no without apologizing for 10 minutes afterward. These moments still count. They are the harvest. You are collecting evidence that you can trust yourself. Each quiet choice adds to it. Sooner or later, self-trust stops feeling like an idea. It feels like the place you return to. Then another person's affection can be received as affection instead of consumed as proof. A compliment can be enjoyed. A kind gesture can be welcomed. A relationship can matter deeply without becoming the only source of meaning in your life. You can receive without gripping. You can care without controlling. You can stay without disappearing. You can leave without declaring war. There is freedom in this. There is also rest. You have worked hard enough trying to make yourself unforgettable. Tonight, you do not need to be unforgettable. You can be present. You can be quiet. You can belong to yourself. Let the old urgency begin to loosen. You do not need to send anything. You do not need to decide anything. You do not need to revisit every conversation. You do not need to forecast another person's next move. The night can hold unanswered questions without turning them into emergencies. Your body can be here. Your breath can be ordinary. The room can be still. The day has carried enough. Let your thoughts become less interested in solving. Let them move past without following each one. A memory may arrive. Let it arrive. A face may appear in your mind. Let it pass through. A future scene may begin forming. You do not have to finish it. There is nothing to complete tonight. You have done enough inner work for one day. Now the words can become smaller, closer, more personal. Let them fall one by one. I choose what chooses me clearly. I keep faith with myself. I welcome mutual effort. I trust consistent care. I honor my limits. I speak without begging. I listen to actions. I release imagined futures. I stay inside my life. I choose honest connection. I trust quiet reciprocity. I welcome steadiness. I respect my timing. I do not audition. I do not overgive. I lead our truth show itself. I keep my center. I make room for peace. I can want without grasping. I can care without shrinking. I can wait without disappearing. I can leave confusion behind. I trust what is mutual. I choose clear affection. I welcome honest presence. I honor what I know. I stand beside myself. I believe my own no. I respect my own yes. I let consistency matter. I stop proving. I stop persuading. I stop performing. I stay whole. I choose peace. I trust myself. I remain open. I welcome truth. I choose reciprocity. I honor clarity. I stay grounded. I am here. I am safe within myself. I am still whole. I am ready. I can rest. Rest now. No proving, no decoding, no reaching, no rehearsing, no bargaining, no waiting at doors. Let the jaw soften. Let the tongue rest. Let the shoulders lower. Let the hands grow quiet. Let the stomach loosen. Let the legs become heavy. Let the feet rest. Let the eyes remain closed. Let the bed carry your weight. Let the room ask nothing from you. You do not need to hold tomorrow together from here. Morning can arrive without being managed. Whatever is true will still be true when you wake. Whatever requires your attention can meet you then. For now, there is only this dark quiet around you and the steady fact that you have not been left behind by your own life. You are inside it, breathing, resting, becoming less divided against yourself. The vineyard is quiet at this hour. The vines do not argue with the frost. The fruit does not ask whether it has waited too long. Nothing tries to become morning before morning comes. The cold continues its patient work. What is unnecessary becomes still. What has depth remains. You can rest like that, not frozen, not forgotten, held in a season that asks for nothing more from you tonight. The sweetness does not need your supervision. You do not have to stay awake to protect what has become clear. You do not have to monitor the future. You do not have to keep watch over another person's heart. Return that responsibility to life. Return each person to their own choices. Return each unanswered question to time. Keep only what belongs with you. Your breath, your body, your inner ground. Your capacity to choose again when morning comes. You have enough for this night. The mind may still wander. Let it wander farther away from the old doorway. Let it move through quiet rows where the late fruit hangs beneath the night. No urgency, no audience, no comparison with what was harvested earlier. Nothing on the vine is ashamed of its timing. Nothing apologizes for needing another season. The frost touches what remains. The fruit grows more concentrated, that is all. You do not need to turn the image into a promise. Let it be a companion. A reminder that later does not mean lesser. A reminder that staying with yourself can deepen what haste could never create. A reminder that you do not have to accept an early harvest merely because you are tired of waiting. Rest in your own timing. Rest without deciding who comes next. Rest without naming an outcome. Rest without asking whether someone misses you. Rest without measuring yourself against another person's life. Rest without turning tonight into a test. You are not being tested. You are sleeping. You are breathing. You are returning. The body knows how to become heavy when the mind stops assigning it impossible jobs. You do not have to solve belonging. You do not have to solve partnership. You do not have to solve the years behind you. You do not have to solve the years ahead. This moment is smaller and kinder. A pillow, a blanket, darkness, breath. The quiet after a long inner conversation. Let your attention rest there. If an old fear whispers that time is running out, you do not need to debate it. Time is moving. You are moving with it. You are not late to your own life. If another fear whispers that you should have accepted less, you can let that thought pass too. Loneliness is not proof that your limits were wrong. A quiet season is not evidence that you asked for too much. Space can be space. Night can be night. You can stop assigning every emptiness a tragic meaning. Some empty places are simply not filled yet. Some remain open because you chose not to fill them with what could not stay well. That choice deserves respect. You may not always feel strong while making it. You may miss what you released. You may remember only the sweetest moments on certain night. Some memory can do that. It can polish what was beautiful and soften what was difficult. You can let memory be tender without letting it make decisions for you. The past can be remembered. It does not have to be re-entered. Let it become distant now. Let the names become quieter. Let the scenes lose their edges. Let the questions lose their urgency. Let the body sink more deeply into rest. Nothing is chasing you here. Nothing needs to be chased. You are not behind. You are not competing. You are not trying to win a place in anyone's heart tonight. You are keeping your place in your own. That is enough. The late harvest does not hurry once the frost has done its work. There comes a moment when what has matured is ready to be gathered. You do not have to decide whether that moment is tomorrow, next month, or in a season you cannot yet imagine. Readiness is not a countdown. It is the growing ability to meet life without abandoning yourself. You are carrying more of that ability now. Let it stay with you without effort. The lesson can continue beneath thought. The body can remember calm. The mind can loosen its grip. The heart can stop standing guard. You have protected yourself through enough nights by staying alert to every possibility. Tonight, protection may look different. It may look like sleep. It may look like trusting that you can respond when there is actually something to respond to. It may look like refusing to spend the night preparing for a conversation that may never happen. It may look like leaving tomorrow unopened. Tomorrow can open itself. For now, let each part of you come back from where it has been waiting. Come back from the unanswered message. Come back from the imagined reunion. Come back from the argument you keep rewriting. Come back from the future you were trying to secure. Come back from the old question of whether you were enough. Come back here to the quiet, to the bed beneath you, to the night around you, to yourself. There is no need to earn this rest. There is no need to finish becoming. Sleep does not ask whether you have figured everything out. It only asks that you stop carrying what can be set down until morning. Set down the need to know. Set down the need to persuade. Set down the need to be remembered by someone who is not present. Set down the need to prove that your waiting meant something. Your life gives it meaning by the way you live now. Let that meaning be enough. The frost outside the imagined vineyard deepens. The grapes remain. Their sweetness is not loud. It is held. You can hold yourself this way without clenching, without guarding, without forcing, quietly, faithfully, restfully. When morning comes, you may still have questions. You may still be human enough to miss someone. You may still feel an old tenderness. Nothing has failed if you do. The change is not that all feeling disappears. The change is that feeling no longer commands you to leave yourself. You can carry tenderness and still keep your ground. You can remember and still move forward. You can care and still choose what is healthy for you. That is enough for a lifetime of wiser decisions. Tonight, it is enough for sleep. Let your breathing become slower in its own way. Let your face rest. Let your hands remain empty. Nothing needs to be held there. No phone, no answer, no future. Just rest. You have spent enough nights leaning toward what might happen. Lean into the bed instead. Let it support you without asking for anything back. Let this be one experience of being supported without performance. Nothing to earn, nothing to repay, nothing to prove. Just wait, meeting something willing to hold it. Stay there. The quiet can become deeper. The words can become fewer. No pursuit, no performance, no fear-led promise, just truth, just rest, just you. There is one more tenderness to carry with you into sleep. You do not have to become suspicious of every new beginning just because an old one disappointed you. Discernment is not the same as fear. Fear looks for danger before anything has happened. Discernment stays present long enough to learn what is actually there. Fear says, protect yourself by never opening. Discernment says, open at the pace truth can support. That pace may be slower than it once was. There is nothing wrong with that. You may need more time before trusting words. You may need to see how someone behaves when plans change, when stress arrives, when misunderstanding happens, when the first excitement becomes ordinary life. You may want to know whether kindness remains when there is nothing to impress. You may want to know whether curiosity remains after familiarity begins. You may want to know whether your voice can stay full instead of becoming smaller. Let those questions unfold naturally. You do not have to interrogate anyone. You do not have to search for hidden flaws. You do not have to prepare for betrayal. You can stay awake without staying afraid. That is another kind of rest. The kind that says you trust yourself enough to learn as you go. If something is beautiful, you can enjoy it. If something is unclear, you can give it time. If something repeatedly hurts, you can take that seriously. If something feels nourishing, you can let yourself be nourished without immediately asking how long it will last. A mature heart does not need to predict every ending before it experiences a beginning. It only needs to know that it will remain present with itself along the way. This may be the deepest change of all. Before, you may have searched for someone who could guarantee that you would never feel abandoned. Now you can become the person who does not abandon yourself. Before, you may have wanted another human being to remove every doubt. Now you can let doubt exist without handing it the steering wheel. Before, you may have believed security meant knowing exactly what would happen. Now security can mean trusting how you will meet what happens. That trust is quieter than certainty. It is also more durable. It travels with you into new conversations, into unexpected invitations, into solitary seasons, into relationships that grow slowly, into moments when you must choose again. You do not have to know everything in order to live wisely. You only need to keep returning to what is true. Does this feel respectful? Can I remain myself here? Are words and actions living near each other? Am I offering what I freely want to offer? Am I making room for the other person to show up too? Those questions do not need answers tonight. They are simply part of the wisdom you carry now. Let them sleep with the rest of you. Nothing has to be examined further. The vine does not inspect its fruit through the night. The cellar does not demand that sweetness explain itself. There is a time for tasting. There is a time for choosing. There is also a time when everything is left undisturbed. This is that time. Let the inner gates grow quiet. Let vigilance loosen. Let your heart stop rehearsing how it will protect itself tomorrow. Tomorrow's wisdom can arrive tomorrow. Tonight's wisdom is rest. The long season has already taught you something valuable. You can remain tender without being easily moved away from yourself. Keep that, not as armor, as roots. Roots do not make a living thing rigid. They make growth possible. They hold while branches move. They stay beneath what changes. Your own inner ground can serve you in the same way. You may bend. You may reconsider. You may forgive. You may begin again. You may be surprised. None of those things require you to disappear. You can change your mind without betraying yourself. You can soften without surrendering your discernment. You can welcome someone without handing them responsibility for your identity. You can build closeness one honest day at a time. That is enough, more than enough for tonight. Let the final pieces of the old urgency fall away. Nothing needs an answer before sleep. Nothing needs a promise before sleep. Nothing needs a name before sleep. You are not waiting at the edge of your future anymore. You are resting inside the life that is already yours. And when the last thought tries to turn back toward the old uncertainty, let one vow remain in its place. I stay rooted until sweetness meets me. You no longer chase, you attract. Tonight, what has deepened in you can finally rest.